Hello everyone, myself Sivakrishna. In this video, I am gonna explain using the data table how we can implement both dispatcher and performer in REFramework. Let's take in a scenario. We have a list of account numbers and account holders name in the Excel file and we need to process them one by one. How we can do that? Let me open the input file that I have created. This is the input file and let me open the file. So here I mention the list of names and account numbers. So in the dispatcher we will gonna read this Excel file and we can process all these account numbers and names in the process transaction data. So let's do that. So in the dispatcher first we need to read the Excel file. For that go to activity and take one read range workbook. Here I am going to mention the first create an arguments in str file path and out argument would be out dt input data. Change the direction from in to out and the argument type would be data table. So here I am going to mention the workbook path name in str file path and the sheet name would be sheet 1. And here I am going to save the data in the data table. So I already created the argument for this out dt input data. So the reading the Excel file has been completed. So I am going to log one message to display how many records are identified in the Excel file. Out dt dot rows count. So the dispatcher logic implementation has been completed. Let's move to the main workflow and call the dispatcher. Go to initialization and first try. Call the dispatcher. Here we need to mention the argument, the file path. The file was available at data folder and the test name would be test.xlsx. Create a data table dt input data and make it available in entire REFramework by changing the scope. The first step has been completed. The second step would be changing the transaction item variable type. So change the variable type from queue item to data row. So when you iterate data table, we will get the data row. So and also we need to change the transaction number from 1 to 0. So our second step also is completed. Go to get transaction data and disable the first change the argument types queue item to data row. So the transaction data is already declared, so we don't need to add extra in argument. So disable the queue activities and take one assign activity here to get each row. So this out transaction item and we should mention the about transaction data dot rows and we need to mention the index value in transaction number. So this way we'll get all the rows one by one, and also here we need to mention one condition to check the rows has been completed or not. For that, in transaction data dot rows dot count greater than in transaction number. So if it is true, so we are going to mention the assign activity to get the details, else the transaction details has been completed. So get transaction data modification has been completed. Go to main and then change the arguments. So here I am going to mention transaction item. Instead of dt transaction data, I am going to mention dt input data. Okay. So here also the same issue. So just replace the value with the same value. And in the exception as well. Okay, and go to the process and then change the arguments from queue item to data row and display both account holder name and account name in the log message. Name, it is available at index position 0, so I am going to mention in transaction item 0 dot toString, and the account number is available at index value 1, so I am going to mention 1 and I am going to change the name. Account number, that's it. And go to set transaction status and change the input argument type queue item to data row and disable the queue activities. And go to main and update the argument details. Update the details for set transaction status as well. Now the changes has been completed. Let's run the process and see the output. The bot run has been completed. Open the output panel and check the output result. The dispatcher process start and the number of records found 4. Let me open the Excel file once. So we have 4 records, and first Kiran and the account number, and then Suresh, and this is the account number for Suresh, and Srinu account number, and Sai, this is the account number. So these are the values: Kiran, Suresh, Srinu, Sai, and these are the account numbers. So this way we can implement both dispatcher and performer using the data table. Hope this video is informative. Thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day.